Zoom in because I'm going to say it appropriately.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're getting ready to start.
Sorry, I got lost. But
What
was in your coffee this morning?
I don't know, but it,
PSL.
I don't know, but it's going for sure.
Yeah. Oh, it's clicking along. So, we did make a little bit of changes and things. We had people and things are scrambled up, but we're going to unscramble them. Tommy is going to make a quick announcement. Then we have Garrett Murphy, then Jonathan, then David, and there's a further iteration of changes, but we shall take care of all business in due course. So would you kindly make your announcement, please? I saw the show that he was in. I went there last Sunday. It was really good. It's great. Songs that he wrote are really catchy tunes and good acting and things like that. So he'll tell you.
Okay, so the show's called A Roof Over My Head. It's about the San Francisco housing crisis. It's a satire and takes aim at a lot of politicians and other people who are guilty of having fucked this thing up so badly over the last, I don't know how many decades. We are at the Manila Town Heritage Center. That's where we were last Sunday. We're supposed to be there again this Sunday. However, unfortunately, yesterday we found out one of our actresses has to go back to New York, so she may not be here for the show Sunday. So we're not sure if the show is going to actually happen or not Sunday. But June 10th, we will be at the African American Cultural Center, and then beyond that, we'll be doing other gigs. And we always try to make the show free because we believe that it should be accessible to everybody. And we are planning to take the show to various communities and neighborhoods because it's a show about all of us and all of our lives. And so what I'm going to do, I think the easier thing to do is to pass around an email list. So if you want to be on the email list, I will definitely be sending out an email later this week and let you know if we are performing Sunday. And if not, I can keep you updated on where we will be performing the show.
What's the street that it's on? It's 868.
Kearney.
868 Kearney, right across from the park.
Yeah, it's also the site of the old I-Hotel. I don't know how many people remember the I-Hotel.
International Hotel, yeah.
That's one of the reasons we wanted to be there, is because that was a struggle. The Filipino community, it was a hotel that was mostly Filipino men, working class Filipino men who lived there, and this big developer came along, tore it down, and they were all eventually evicted, but it was like a 10-year struggle to preserve the I-Hotel. Well, it's been rebuilt as affordable housing, and the site there has a cultural center on the ground floor, and that's where we were. So it was very fitting that we were there, and that's the kind of spaces we want to be in, because it's about all of us and our struggle. And the struggle will continue to go on, and we're going to win someday.
All right, so he's going to pass that around. Put your email on if you want to get information about this Sunday or not. All right. Garrett Murphy. Garrett Murphy in the house. What? Oh yeah, we've got noodling. Yeah. Okay. Okay. That was my mistake.
Okay, not George Carlin's 7 dirty words. Fetus, entitlement, diversity, transgender, vulnerable, evidence-based, science-based. What? No buzz? Where's the beeper? Does shock? Anything? Was there not supposed to be some sort of catastrophe? Some earth-shattering cataclysm? But all that can be heard is some faint, feeble-minded, inept hissy fit from a most minuscule gallery which one would not dare offend peanuts by naming it in their honor. Perhaps if they had chosen a few slurs instead. The sinking tower of rhymes with Crisco. Like present-day imitators of Yertle the Turtle, the city parents and developers did it this time. All they really had to do was to simply build a new transit center, but of course, who do we think we are? Anyone can build a simple transit center, but we're SNF, the city that really knows how. There's nothing going higher than we will build us a transit center capped by a building that'll really help to build us up to the stars. So they built up and built up and built up some more, and behold, that tower was built, a marvel of the ages. But what's that odd sound? That sinking sound? Not quite the burping sound of a mech, but equally ominous. A gasp rolls out, and plainly clear that tower has begun to sink like paralysis into the earth. Those developers might have dared to rise to the stars, but it appears they may really sink to the fallen stars. They really should have known that to build upon sand, soft enough to go through hourglasses. So soars the hubris of city leaders and builders. But you can never keep a big ego down for long. Hey, look on the bright side. At least we've done Italy a few better. They just have a leaning tower of Pisa. But we have, ladies and gentlemen, the sinking tower of, well, you know. The original World War. One follower comes along, makes a gesture of sorts, says, "Praise to my deity, that's the greatest one of all." Another comes along, makes a gesture of sorts, says, "Praise to my deity, that's the greatest of all." A third comes along, makes a gesture of sorts, says, "All praise to my deity, that's the supreme one of all." A fourth comes along, makes a gesture of sorts, says, "Sing praises to my deity, that's the mightiest of all." And all this continues a similar effect, and all you know what begins to percolate. What do you mean, your deity? My deity is the greatest of all. What sacrilege? Mine is the greatest deity. You're both wrong. Mine is the omnipotent deity. Says you, you'll all burn in Hades at the feet of my deity. None of your deities can compare with mine. Blasphemer, sinner, infidel. Needless to say, before too long a battle of all with many fronts has occurred, and sadly continues to this day. And one can't help but surmise to oneself whether countless distances of the continual war, the various deities who have been referred to by the warriors below are shaking their heads with resignation and sympathy as they discuss among themselves this well-worn query. What have we done to deserve these for our followers?
Thank you! Jonathan, come on up here. And then Sharon. I should have had you go before Garrett, but I goofed that up. Thank you for that. I appreciate that. Come on, this thing. There we go.
How's the whipped cream?
When I was a sophomore in high school, here in the city at Drew, our teacher one night said, "Tonight's homework is a letter from anyone to anyone." So that night I wrote a letter and brought it in and put it down on the stack. The next day I came in and there were red marks from here to here.
Aww.
And over in the corner, the right-hand corner upper, there was an A+. I went and sat down, and my teacher said, "May I read your letter to the class?" Dear June, years ago in court, I looked into your eyes and saw fires burning bright. In time, those fires will die down. And just before they go out, someone will come and breathe on them, and they'll flare up. And this is right, and this is good. Oh, June, they're coming for me now. Goodbye, my love. A letter from a condemned man. Well, after the class was over, my teacher said, all you have to do is write to get an A. He didn't say, like so many teachers have to so many. I was 18 when I hitchhiked to New York. And I got to New York in November. By the time Easter rolled around, I was working in a coffee house on McDougal Street. And there was going to be an open reading there. And there were a couple of people you might have heard of that were going to read that day. Allen Ginsberg and Gregory Corso. Well, I signed up, and the owner of the cafe said, Jonathan, don't say you're from San Francisco, because there was an idiot. So I got up and I said, I'm Jonathan and I'm from far away. And I read, and a week later I was asked to be recorded. And I said, huh? Who, me? Yes. When you're recorded at home with tape that big, you don't hear your voice. But when tape with this big, you do.
Thank you, they've got to go. Give him around, please, Jonathan North. We haven't seen him in ages. All right. Sharon, who should have gone a different time, but now she's coming up here. Oh, okay. Well, we're going to get really going to be short here. And just to let you know, we're trying to spare time here. So this chair is going to be the on-deck chair, and well, David, you'd be the first person to go there.
I'll sit here.
Okay, thank you. And then Greg, we got Greg, Melissa, Buford. We got a big thing, so go ahead. Sorry about that.
Sir. Okay, this is called Peace. Peace to my grandfather was the El Producto favorite cigar, a glass of Hamm's beer, and the Kansas City Monarchs beating the hell out of the Baltimore Blackberries, or any other Negro League team, and reading a piece of Ring Lardner. Peace was as nice snooze on the new glider in the backyard and a slight summer breeze, waking up to a piece of peach pie and a strong cup of coffee. Peach is a dish of homemade ice cream and a church fan on a hot day. Peach to my grandmother was the girls home on the porch, brushing each other's hair, telling stories of Kansas in the 20s and the 30s. Her peace was a warm bath, a glass of wine, and her Bible, followed by a good book for the night. Peace was kneeling next to me, making sure that I had said my prayers and that I was tucked in. Peace is turning out the light, turning into a night of sleep and crisp linen sheets, listening to the crickets and seeing the lightning bugs blink in the distance. Peace, the distant rumble on a hot night and the faint glow of lightning.
Just so you know, Sharon is what we call the last word. So she opens the second half. I goofed that up, and she will close the second half. So that's how that works. Just so you know. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I'm going to frame this guy for everything he thinks he hasn't done.
We may not be done. It may change again.
Uh-oh.
I wrote this today. California Lament. I'm a mushroom collector, so.
Very good. We need mushroom.
Yeah. So the mushrooms are quite fey this year. They barely have appeared. With lack of rain to ascertain, they hardly shed a tear. As certain as more moisture drops, proliferate they will. On fallen oak, neath hazelnut, decay continues still. Candy caps of cinnamon, a few at last begin. Oyster shells in tan or gray accelerate along the way. A special glow of chanterelle with modicum of tales to tell. White death caps with a trace pale green. Too few this year that I have seen. Bluet, Muscara, none at all. Not damp enough to hear their call. Late in the season still could change if we would simply get more rain. Troll. Trolls are merely human thugs, human slugs, human slime. They feed on words like frogs on bugs. On lethargy they bloat and climb. Content is lacking, so to finesse, crud they are wont to digest. Nothing better than to carp, adept at smelling their own farts. Pluck their strings of devilish hearts. From decency quickly digress, false witness is what they do best. If you are having a good time, they'll bully you in 4/4 rhyme. Job of Joe, patience, relate. Job of troll, to spit and hate. Observe the fetid couch potato, his fondest wish is self-fellatio. Breakfast roll. Step outside, return within. Epidermis, scale of skin, bridged across, throbbing lump. Endless journey, heart to pump. Analogy, sudden sneeze to kiss the flesh, a gentle breeze. If earth be mud or skin be clay, come and go, leave or stay. In motion there is action found. In stasis, rooted to the ground. I close my eyes, and still I feel the progress of the common wheel. If not for adulation, I think that I would be as lonely as a blossom, leaf separate from tree. In subtleties we oft let patience pass. When days are short in time we come to grasp the lightness of our being in a leaf. Renewed in joy will often follow grief. Mayhap the sadness drowns in its own tear, or swills a chill in taking draught of beer, B-I-E-R. Season circles to lap against the sea, jazz hands clap, embrace eternal melody. In faith a leap may overjump abyss, the clef of chin awaits the viol's kiss. Stitch of string vibrates rhythm just so. Sphere makes clear, allows four winds to blow. A tune can weep, a lay can soothe a fevered brow. Applause will cause. We end performance with a bow.
Thank you. Thank you. You're very nice. Just a note, because time is really close, so try to accommodate yourself like David just did there. I appreciate that. So, Mr. Greg Pond, to be followed by Melissa Mella, to be followed by Buford, to be followed by Britt, to be followed by Hal Robbins, our mini feature of the evening. So, Melissa, if you would come to join.
White courtesy telephone.
Green turn to see telephone.
I'm not on there?
Yeah, you are.
Oh.
Yeah.
Am I?
But yes, but there's a long list.
Okay.
That's why I'm saying go short. Okay.
100 days.
Oh no.
David, beautiful.
Thank you.
100 days, 100 nights. To know a man's heart was rotten from the start. It didn't take 100 days or nights to know his claims were fake. His friends were flakes. 100 days, 100 nights, he made us wade through so many lies. 100 days, 100 nights, he's trying to keep America white.
Yeah.
Now it's well past 100 days, 100 nights, and breaking news says, it's a bird, it's a plane. No, it's the devil in flight. See him over there, the one with the orange hair? You know, the guy who wears the red neck Aye. I don't really do well with political poems and stuff like that, but anyway. The day before the revolution begins. Today is the day before we grab the reins. Last chance to relax and catch our breath, because when tomorrow comes to be, we better be ready to go to the edge in defense of what we believe. We'll seize the day after we catch some Z's, some downtime, maybe 40 winks, but we'll wake up totally woke, down for the cause and ready to think of how we'll get this done. Do we choose the bullet, the ballot, or both to get the battle won? Let's get some rest so we'll be at our best, though we may still turn and toss, sleep-deprived and bleary-eyed like people oppressed and lost, hoping that whatever we get will prove to be enough to gain sufficient strength to uncover the covers that smother us when we discover the dreams that are buried under us. Let's stay invested, connected, and alert. Recognize, galvanize, organize. Let's work to fight the foes of justice and freedom so we can erect our own monuments and bridges that span across the sky, or simply burn down the ones that cross or block our paths in the flames of the fire next time.
Oh, yeah. Great time, thank you. All right, Melissa. Thank you.
I don't think I heard you.
You did? I'm sorry. I mean, I'm glad. And then Buford is next.
All right.
Where's my round of applause, y'all?
We were waiting for you to call us on.
Still your inner sheep.
So, two things. First of all, everybody who signed Tommy's list, you guys have really good handwriting. Just saying. And the second thing is trans women are women.
Yes, all right.
A news story read, charred body found last week in backwoods of Missouri. 2 cisgendered women, with the help of 2 cisgendered white men, read, colonialism, patriarchy, trans misogyny, white and cis supremacy. Took torch to a trans woman in an attempt to extinguish evidence of her murder, in an attempt to extinguish evidence of her. Can you imagine insecurity so deep you'd kill another who breathes more freely? Imagine a loathing of self so sturdy and vile it would turn vicious. Close your eyes. Imagine it. Close your eyes because you still have them and you can. She didn't when she burned because they gouged them out before they mutilated her genitals. I stagger here, struggle to imagine it myself, human, reduced to body. But then I remember that we live in a country whose selfdom is deeply pockmarked, built by oppressors forcing the oppressed like working dogs on stolen land. Mush! We are a people that tout uniqueness, but not too much. Lashed are those who threaten the heralding of homogeneity. Feared are the ones who diverge from paved paths to the rough. I know you don't want to hear this. You, with your white, cisgendered privilege and your wine-laced ladies' nights brimming with stories of shared experience. You, with bellies full of hope and mouths full of laughter, spewing unruly residue over everything. I know you don't want to hear this. You who dub women women by presence of tits, vaginas, communal bleeding on full moons, felicitous posture, and come hither, stride. I know you don't want to hear this. I know you scroll past these stories on your feed while you elbow fellow passengers on your work commute in the morning. Think this world is beautifully bruised and brutal, but I'm late and need another cup of coffee before I engage. Need to savor every sip without any more bad news. But do you? Do you savor it really? Or do you just sip and take up space? What you need to understand is that the violence perpetrated against transgender and gender nonconforming people must exist for the binary system to remain in place. This is not an accident. We perpetuate it with our silence every day. The media perpetuated it by identifying her by a male name. Human was once identifiable by a male name. No, she will not be reduced to gender. Human was once engaged to a woman. No, she will not be reduced to sexuality. Human, not 21st transgender person to be murdered in the United States in 2017. No, she will not be reduced to statistic. Human, not charred body found in backwoods of Missouri. No, she will not be reduced to body. Human. Her name is Allie Lee Steinfeld, and she was 17. Thank you.
Now our mini feature of the evening. I made a mistake before. Mr. Buford Bunton, come on up. Then we got Britt, then Hal, then Clyde, then Allegra, and Antoinette. And try to keep focused on the time, because I'd like to have everybody in and so forth and so on. We'll get him set up, and we are good to go.
Dan, we get 5 minutes?
Not that long. It's going to be a little shorter than 5 minutes. I'm telling people to go because of time.
Give me a number.
Like 4, 3, between 3.
The woman outside Starbucks. The woman outside Starbucks throws her point across a one-armed golf swing. High upon a hill across busy Parnassus, tall trees intertwine. A waiting bus rider puffs on a cigarette and talks to her older blonde woman friend. If you look right outside the window, this explains the poem, I think. It's called Cindy's. Cindy's market across the street glows dimly as poets rev up their literary voices at sacred grounds. Lost invitation. I invite a sickly poet, talented, and she's got the flu. I'm disappointed, to say the least. Okay. This is an old girlfriend from 40 years ago who I contacted about a year ago, and this is about, my continuing feelings. It's called Janae. I moved away from Atlanta, Georgia to San Francisco in 1977. Before that time, beginning in 1973 when I received a bachelor's degree from the University of South Alabama in my conservative hometown of Mobile, and followed my sister and brother-in-law to Atlanta. Janae is a talented singer and has been a soloist in a bevy of church choirs. We became flirtatious friends. I guess one could say, as she gave me a kiss at the end of her concerts. She sang in protest to the execution of Gary Gilmore in Utah, the first execution after cessation ended. Janae's protest singing is great. I contacted her on Facebook Christmas before last.
Thank you for button our mini of the evening. Brits. Then we have Hal, Clyde, Allegra, Antoinette. That's the next 3 or 4 that are coming up, and we have more after that. I appreciate brevity, so everybody gets on. Thank you.
You can tilt that mic up a little bit.
Yeah.
That's it.
I don't know how many watched the moon last night, but it was tripping. Supermoon, the honored General Kelly in his silly green suit plastered on, tells his boss to look up skyward in the early evening. The Donald does look up for the first time in years and says, "It's really big. I brought it here. Name it after me." 2. The empty boat on the lake, the vacant street in the 14th Ward, the night-struck cafe window. Henry Miller and Levi follow the light of the near moon. One man talks more than the other. Catch his accent. "Say, pal, isn't this grand, a rare event, don't you know?" 3. The advertised moon shows up early, rising over the eastern hills. Bring out the light bucket. We won't see this again soon. The 3 seas clearly seen, the medicinal glare of a near moon. 4. Check this out. I saw it. At 3 a.m., the altered globe, an orange moon half covered by dense blue smoke, hanging there near Tamalpais. They call it a super blue blood moon. Come on, man, go back to sleep.
Thank you, Britt. The esteemed Dr. Hal is now. And we got Clyde, Allegra, Antoinette. Others to follow. Try to keep it brief so we can go quietly into this good night.
Gently.
Thank you.
Sorry.
I meant gently, but
hit him now.
Quite quiet.
Lines of Shelley from Hellas. Worlds on worlds are turning over from creation to decay, like the bubbles on a river, sparkling, bursting, borne away. But they are still immortal who through birth's orient portal and death's dark chasm, hurrying to and fro, clothe their eternal flight in the brief dust and light, gathered around their chariots as they go. New shapes they still may weave, new laws, new gods receive. Bright or dim are they as the robes they last on death's bare ribs had cast. A power from the unknown god, a Promethean conqueror, came. Like a triumphal path, he trod the thorns of death and shame. A mortal shape for him were like the vapor dim which the Orient planet animates with light. Hell, sin, and slavery came, like bloodhounds, mild and tame, nor prayed until their Lord had taken flight. The moon of Mohammed arose, and it shall set, as while blazoned on heaven's immortal noon, the cross leads generations on. Swift as the radiant shapes of sleep, from one whose dreams are paradise, fly when the fond wretch wakes to weep, and day peers forth with her blank eyes, so sweet, so faint, so fair, the powers of earth and air fled from the folding star of Bethlehem. Apollo, Pan, and Love, and even Olympian Jove grew weak, for killing truth had glared on them. Our hills and seas and streams, dispeopled of their dreams, their waters turned to blood, their dews to tears, wailed for the golden years.
Thank you, Hal. Oh, you got a pen? All right, thank you. All right. Is he here?
He's here.
Yeah.
Clyde always. Clyde always. Then we got Allegra.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, come on and step right up, folks. Go and grab yourself a front row seat before they're gone, and they're going fast. Oh, you don't want to miss this. It's time for another exciting installment of the Clyde Always Show. With me, your always clever, always handsome, always charming host, Clyde. Always, and I ain't no common carnival barker. I am the Bard of the Hay. And this is Clyde Always Lives in the Moment. On a sweltering day in the middle of May, I was kicking it out on the boat. No, not sailing at sea, but as still as could be, in Marina, my vessel afloat. While the sun brightly shone, I was lost in my phone, just revising some message I wrote. But was busy my mind, so I set out to find a distraction to quiet and lull. So I clicked on a link and neglected to think of the waves as they wept on the hull, or above all my tweets with his triangle feet sat a mocking and squawking old gull. So the minutes I passed on the deck by the mast with the videos viral galore, and I fed on the buzz with a smile because I could easily watch a few more. All the folks in the vids were all funny young kids, and their antics were hard to ignore. When some splashing I heard that I thought was a bird, it inspired my head to look up. Such a beautiful sight that I jumped in delight, and I spilled what was left in my cup. What was paddling by with a glint in his eye was a slippery sea lion pup. To the railing I rose, and his whiskery nose, it was pointing at me like a spear. How I looked on amazed as with pity he gazed, for he dove to the depths of the pier. Then it died, my device, but I found that quite nice, as my mind, it was finally clear. Okay. So back in 1898, I was 12 years old. My Bob and I, we passed this poster in town. And the poster said, this is exactly what it said. It said, the United States is off to war on faraway islands. Now, my papa was a true patriot. He lost his arm when he was 8 years old in the Battle of Gettysburg, and he lost his eye when he was 41 years old because my mama gouged it out with a spoon right before she ran off on us. So he insisted that I enlist, so I packed up some squirrel jerky and I hiked 9 days up to Genesee to the city of Rochester, where the recruiter told me that I was too young, but he said they was hurting for sailors way out west. So I hopped a freight and I rode that thing into the setting sun. About a week later, I wound up in this little trading post called Portland, Oregon, and there the recruiter asked my age, and I said 12, and he said, 16, terrific, well, the United States name's out. So then he gave me a handful of hardtack and a pint full of whiskey, and he sent me on down to the docks to wait. Once there, I met the captain, and the captain, he looked me up and down, and he said, hot damn, boys, they come to send us a new Peggy Sue. Now, things happened to me on that ship that I don't quite care to remember. All I remember clearly is the first chance I got. I stole me a lifeboat, and I rowed it out into the open ocean alone and scared. But I washed up. on a magical island with vast rocky shores and leafy green jungles and a sun that glowed orange and fuzzy. And smack dab in the middle of this island there stood a mammoth monolith of stone who looked me stern and spoke. He said, "Who goes there?" I said, "Clyde always." He said, "What do you want?" I said, "A hot pastrami sandwich tree." And poof, he delivered. He said, "What else?" And I said, "How about a fucking chocolate ice cream soda pond with whipped cream motherfucking lily pads?" And bada bam, he delivered again. And for 3 long years, I sat there under that tree and beside that pond and I wrote down a poem a day. And then, at the age of 15, I got so goddamn lonely, I went down to the beach to cry. Went out from the ocean, there came 2 ancient oysters, and each was as big as my head. And I reached in their mouths and I yanked out the pearls and I held them out over the sand. And the oysters, they giggled. And bubbles, they blew. And I rose from the earth and I flew through the air. And I kissed that old rock on the nose. Goodbye! When along come a guy in a hot air balloon who invited me in for some toast. And I told him my story, just like I told you when I told him my poems galore. And he said, "By gum, boy, could you do that on stage?" "Yeah, I suppose." He said, "Come with me then, son. I can see it now. The Clyde Always Show." And I said, "Hokey dokey, let's go." Thanks for listening, everybody. Tune in next time.
Yeah. All right.
How long was that?
That was good. Now, you're Allegra? Oh, we have another new individual here, ladies and gentlemen. Allegra. Give her a round of applause. Give her a round of applause.
To my creator. Everything he ever loved in me was from him. Same too with what he disdained, and in every moment I was a reflection of him. And then I realized I was God's shadow. Simultaneously an atheist, I had an existential crisis. How could I even exist after God's death? A parasite, no host, no space to breathe, exist, or be. I tried not to be anything too sincerely. I was everything, just not absolutely. I was nothing for fear I could never be enough. And now nothing in my life is so fixed I cannot throw it away. Under pressure our bones may break, but our spirit, it's malleable. Created by environment, we are adaptable. I'm adaptable, resilient, I've had to be. Sometimes though I wonder who I am and what is left of me. Can we lose too much, change too much, realize we never really existed in the form we believed was us? I wonder what a shadow can be without its master. Amazing grace, please accept our faithless. Dante's white flag people still seek your salvation. Please offer some expectation, some sense of true identity. Tragedy after tragedy, I can't stop wondering who I am and what is left of me. See, I've never found myself in a mirror or in still water, as neither reflects perfectly an image of self. I avoid self-reflection too often, because without his light, I peer into a hole of such deep emptiness, such vast darkness and shadow. In times I believe I'll never be able to see myself or find myself without his eyes watching me. See, when I lost him, I learned the coping technique in which with the same reckless abandon a child with a temper tantrum can throw something made of glass. Without a sense it'll shatter. I throw myself at particles, projects, and people. Faith lost, but not in human beings. I've wanted someone to tell me I have some goddamn meaning or mean something. Even if stated with suspended disbelief, I've asked for whispers of sweet nothings. I've prayed to find my value in the reflection of another's iris. In this process, I make myself an object of desire. I mold myself to their liking. I become so fragile in composition as to be made of glass. The same viscous liquid I so carelessly throw around, I thoughtfully shatter. Myself, breakable to another's reaction, each conversation a transaction to assert my value, to show that I am more than a shadow, that I am a real human being, and I have really complex, contradictory, and beautiful feelings to assure me that loss is not the only thing that defines me. See, in hopeful moments, I believe we regenerate like cells do. The sum of our parts and experiences are more than each individually. I just need a gestalt approach to my identity. If there was nothing I remained faithful to, maybe there was nothing left to lose. Maybe I was finding myself too. Maybe each memory the glue to put all these strange and mismatched pieces back together. And for that, I pray that the synergies of neural connections between various experiences can make me whole, can make me beautiful. See, I could be beautiful if I could See, I truly am more than my suffering. I truly am more than what others see in me. I am not a shadow, but rather I am a dove, swallowed by a crow and held by a stork. I am beautiful, because I'm everything I've ever known and been simultaneously, generating and regenerating infinitely and instantaneously. Even without him, I still exist. I think, therefore I am all these wonderfully fragmented shards of me. I am me. I know I could be, if I could be reborn in something other than God's empty image, and one day I pray, no, I have faith that one day I will have the amazing grace to see myself, really see myself for all that I am. Thank you.
Thank you so much. You are a valuable person. You're valued. Listen and look. See? Thank you. Antoinette. We have Antoinette coming up now, and then we have the last set is Antoinette, the Ringer, Karen, Sharon, then Sue. There we go. I think I got that all. Everybody's in, as far as I can tell, unless I've really made a mistake, which I've done already 3 times this evening.
Brag, brag, brag.
Thank you. You're around. I haven't seen you in a while.
So this is called San Francisco Rain. Okay. Raining today, turned inside out, about face, memories reflected in wet blacktop, tail light flame. Walk the bridge, wind, whip, wild, blind. Ancient scent, spice, redwoods deep. Interior map, solitary and still. Stroll into someone she never thought of being. Lethargy bursts, awe, creation unseen. Freezing east spurns, west fires, rains, mud. Nearest second yearns, sunlit days dream for anything but this. Gaps in between deceive our integrity. Hate leaves, loses fear. Thick green spruce, withstand unwavering union. Recalled frothy, wretched wonder, near enough to sweep beneath the hush. And this is called Santa Barbara Dog Show. Irish setter with her man jog morning fog. Red hair flows like chai tea from brimming full pot. Step down street smart to pungent earth. Invigorated pine needles sing crushed lost memories. Creature-bound connection, synapses stored, ancient paws, feet in rhythm together. Spring from trail to easy extinction, rainbows carry sea of souls, whose spot anchors plunge. From time to timeless, death reconsiders like the setter's ears fanning fires of no return.
Thank you. Come back, I haven't seen you in a long time.
Sharon is not she's 13 or Dina
and number 26 at the same time.
You have them both in there?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Oh, sorry about that. My bad. The Ringer, I think, is next. Right? Antoinette, the Ringer is also new. New, so give him the treatment. Newbie.
I wasn't even planning on reading that.
Oh, well, you never know what's going to happen, especially here.
So, I don't know if you guys remember last year around April, the power went out.
I remember that.
And for
fell out
like
of my
a good
bed.
5 or 6 hours, there was just no power for like a good chunk of the city. So, April's National Poetry Write Month, so I write a poem every day in April, and I wrote this poem about the power going out. The power went out today. The city's right eye blinked, and in an instant 40 stoplights stopped stopping, and by the time your eyelids twitched, you're a box of dark in a warehouse of sunshine. A few moments later they came. The curious, the inquisitors, the ones who answer their own "what happens" with a triumphant "let's find out." out to hunt a conversation with a stranger. The gravity at the center of San Francisco tripled that day, and the people spilled out of their tilted homes into the streets like bowling balls, rolling down the sides of Silicon Valley. People smiled, laughed even, making small talk peppered with jokes about infrastructure and gas ovens, and my God, I haven't spoken this long with a new person in years. And my job this and my job that. People wandered, heads cocked upward, feet restless, people wondered together. And then the record was put back on track, and the masses returned to their grooves. But for a moment I sat there, pockets in the echo of an empty auditorium, dried prunes in the sun, dumbfounded. And I couldn't stop laughing.
Thank you. All right, so now we have Karen. So we have Karen, then Sharon, then Sue, and I want to really make a host's appreciation for the people who, in the second half, kept time brief so that everybody gets on with a good amount, and I really appreciate it, because the only time I have stress is when the clock runs out.
You gotta talk back.
Sold America.
Okay, I also saw the lunar eclipse. How many of you did? I got it earlier than I expected. I got it with 2, and I wrote this poem at 5:30. Anyway, lunar eclipse, January 31st, 2018. The bright pulsing moon sang from the eastern sky, moving westward towards her destiny, to be curtained by Earth. In the west, shadows hummed across her surface. Outside glowed a vast penumbra. Soft shadows veiled her bright beauty, interrupted in the early morning by a floating thumb, sweeping gently through the hours across her lunar surface, extinguishing her light minute by minute, until only a soft diamond shone beneath a globe turned red, pigment rubbed into her surface by a floating thumb. Seals barked approval or regret. Gulls screamed in the dark skies of morning. A cruise ship passed by and a Chinese barge. Then all was silent under the red and glowing moon.
Oh.
I really wish to see what, but I have to do peace. So you're all going to sing. You didn't know that, but yes, this is it. So I will make this very clear. Your little refrains. You don't need, cheat sheets or anything. Okay. This is called "If There Were Peace," and this is not an ironic. I wrote this long before Trump. So. If there were peace, the ragged edges of the world would knit themselves together. If there were peace, we'd hear the sound of psalms among the clouds. If there were peace, if there were peace, then everyone around the world would look out for each other, and each small tear would fill our hearts with care. If there were peace, we'd find a way to heal the world of sorrow. If there were peace, we'd find a way to love. If there were peace, we'd find a way to heal the world of sorrow. If there were peace, we'd find a way to love. If there were peace, the ocean and the skies above would soon be filled with music. If there were peace, we'd hear such harmony among the clouds. If there were peace.
If there were peace,
then everyone around the world would learn to be forgiving, and each small joy would fill our hearts with hope. If there were peace, we'd find a way to heal the world of sorrow. If there were peace, we'd find a way to love. Until there's peace, we'll learn to keep love in our hearts forever and forever. And all of us might harmonize beyond the clouds until there's peace. Until there's peace. When everyone around the world will reach out to each other and offer all our tears and joys in love. If there were peace, we'd find a way to heal the world of sorrow. If there were peace, we'd find a way to love. When there is love, we'll find a way to heal the world of sorrow. When there is love, we'll find a way to peace. We could repeat that with everybody.
Thank you. Nice touch on the theme. All right, so now
turn it off.
No, we have
we got?
Sharon. Sharon coming up now. She's the closer, but we're going to do a special there. So Sharon, then Sue, then we got. So, but we're going to turn the machine off after her. So Mama told me not to go.
Yeah, but did Mama tell you not to sing?
Yes, actually, she did it one time. She said, "Will you stop that caterwauling?" Okay. I didn't even know what caterwauling was.
Something like dog howling.
Ugh.
Hey. Woman's Worth, Maya Angelou. Storm, blow me from here. With your fiercest wind, let me float across the sky till I can rest again. Fall, gently, snowflakes, cover me with white, cold, icy kisses and let me rest tonight. I've got the children to feed. I've got clothes to mend. I've got the floor to mop. I've got the food to shop. Then the chicken to fry and the baby to dry. I got company to feed, the garden to weed. I got shirts to press. I got tots to dress. The can to be cut. I gotta clean up this hut. Then I can see about the sick, and I got cotton to pick. Shine on me, sunshine, rain on me. Rain, fall softly, dewdrops, and cool my brow again. Storm, blow me from here with your fiercest wind, and let me float across the sky till I can rest again. Fall gently, snowflakes, cover me with kisses, with white, cold, icy kisses, and let me rest tonight.
Yeah! That's what I'm talking about! Now we pause.